Good morning, everybody. We got a decent slate of NBA games on tonight's NBA betting slate, and I'm here to give you some NBA player props to hammer for tonight. Yesterday was awesome. We had a 3-0 day on these NBA player props. All three were of the plus money variety, so nice, juicy odds there. We end the day yesterday up 3.6 units. Overall, that brings our total profit season to date on these NBA player props to about 3.75 units. I was right around break even prior to yesterday. It was lovely to have a 3-0 day. Now, if you are new to my channel, what I do with these NBA player props is I don't take any at the main line. I pump up the numbers a little bit to get pretty juicy odds. And it's kind of funny just to show you the difference. 2 days ago, I went 1-4 on my player props. Now, if I had just taken everything at the main line, I would have went 3 for 4. That would have been a great day. Yesterday, I once again took them of the pumped up prop variety, and I should have actually pumped them up even more yesterday. Every single player scored 5 or more points above what I had them at. I had Giannis 30 plus, he put up like 50. I had Trae Young 25 plus, he put up like 40. And then I had Benedict Mathurin 15 plus, I believe he scored 24. So kind of just shows you what sports betting is like. One day the pumped up props kill you. The literal next day should have pumped them up even more, but I'm going to continue to do the strategy of the pumped up props, getting them for plus money odds. If you're not already, would appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. And let's chat about today. So the first play that we're going to go ahead and lock in here is in the Timberwolves versus Spurs game. And we're taking Anthony Edwards, 30 plus points, plus 145 odds at FanDuel. Now, Edwards is one of my favorite players to watch. He's awesome. He has been absolutely cooking this year. And in this specific matchup, he gets the benefit of playing against the Spurs, who have one of the worst, if not the worst, defenses in the entire NBA. They give up 125.9 points per game. That's second most in the NBA. That's horrible. But even if you look at defensive net rating, if you look at advanced stats, they're actually considered the worst defense in the NBA by a pretty wide margin too. Their defensive net rating is 121. Now 100 is average, high is bad. 121 is horrible. The next lowest team is the Wizards, who we're going to get to in a little bit, at 119.7. So that's a massive difference between the worst and the second worst team. So yeah, they're very bad. The really only plus they have on defense is Wemby and guarding the big man, because Wemby's awesome. Outside of that, they allow guards and forwards to just kill them. Wings and guards kill them. In their last game against the Knicks, they allowed Quickly, Barrett, Brunson, and Randall, all of them to go over their point total over under. And now we're looking at Anthony Edwards. As I mentioned, he's been great this year. He's gone 30 plus points in 3 games so far this year, including a dominant 38-point performance against the Celtics. I like it because he's just getting his shots. He's consistently putting up 20 plus shots. He's consistently putting up 8 plus attempts from deep. Now, the risk here is a blowout against the Spurs. They could, the Timberwolves could just blow him out. But realistically, he's going to put up a ton of shots, ton of high value shots as well. Probably going to, he could do this in the first 3 quarters. So for plus 145, I like it. That's our first play. Next up, in the Hornets versus Wizards game, we're taking Brandon Miller, 15 plus points, plus 110 odds at FanDuel. I told you we were going to get to the Wizards, and we did it with our next pick. So this one, backing another younger player, this time obviously in a rookie with Brandon Miller. But this Wizards defense is just as much of an abomination as the Spurs. They're horrendous. And if you look at points per game and net rating, they're essentially flip-flopped, right? I mentioned the Spurs give up the second most points per game. Well, the Wizards give up the most points per game. I mentioned the Spurs have the worst defense according to net rating. The Wizards have the second worst defense according to net rating. So they're awful. They're really, really bad. I also like this because these teams literally just played, and we can essentially fade the most recent events. And I love doing situations like this. They're literally playing back-to-back games against each other. They played Wednesday. The Wizards won in somewhat of a blowout. I like fading. I basically like betting the opposite of what recently happened. So I like, obviously, the Hornets straight up, but I also like Brandon Miller to have a better game. Now, he wasn't terrible against the Wizards last game, and we'll get into that. But the Wizards blew out the Hornets, so Miller didn't play his normal allotment of minutes. He still played 30, but if you look at his minutes log, he's more been closer to 35 minutes per game, so he didn't play as many minutes because of the blowout. And as I mentioned, he wasn't horrible. He scored 13 points on 11 shots, and he only attempted 2 from deep. So in this one, the Hornets in general are probably the guess here going to have more success against the Wizards. He could get up 11 shots again against the Wizards, and he could get to 15 points just because of how bad the Wizards defense is. If he gets a couple open threes, a couple plays and transition, it's not a ton of effort to get to 15 plus points. And if he gets hot from deep, which he hasn't done in a little bit, that'll make it even easier for us. So this one was the safest of the plays at plus 110 odds, but I still like him to get 15 plus points. And then last up, third and final play of the evening. This is in the Clippers versus Mavs game. I'm taking Luka, 35 plus points, plus 250 odds at FanDuel. It's our last play of the day, also going the spiciest in terms of odds, and we're backing Luka to drop 35 against the Clippers. Luka has also been awesome this year. It feels like the first time in his career that he has shown up to a NBA regular season actually in shape. And the results have been there. He's averaging 31 points per game. He's basically hovering around 30 points every single game, except for 2 he hasn't. And he's also gone 35 plus points in 2 of 8 games so far. One of the ones he's missed, he scored exactly 34. So again, 3 of 8 games, he's basically hovering right around 35 plus points. I understand 35 is a lot, but when you look at Luka's stats, like his shot attempts and everything, you can get to 35 pretty quickly. He puts up 25 plus shots consistently, 10 plus from deep, and 10 plus free throw attempts. If he just has an average game with all of those attempts, that gets you pretty close to 35. And for the plus 250 odds, it's really juicy. Last game, he put up 31 points, and that was while only shooting 2 of 10 from deep. Also, in this matchup, you think it's a tough one with Paul George and Kawhi. Luka kills the Clippers, just kills them. He scored 35 plus points in 4 of their last 5 games against each other. The one game he missed, he put up 29, so still had a pretty good game. Now, these teams, including the playoffs, have played a lot because they had a 7-game series and a 6-game series, and obviously they play a decent amount of times, I think 4 in the regular season. But overall, in his career, Luka scored 35 plus points 13 times against the Clippers. Again, that includes the playoffs. Basically, he just calls for a switch to Russ, in this game specifically. He's going to call a switch to Russ or Harden, and it's barbecue chicken. I also like him to get to 5 plus 3-pointers. Not going to track that one way or another, but I do like that as a side play. But that's it. That rounds out our third and final pick of the evening. 3 NBA player props, all of the plus money variety. If Luka comes through for us, we're guaranteed to be profitable, but let's hope we can have another 3-0 day. And that's it. Appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and have a good one.